AMD gets told they can't use HDMI. You can smell your video games, and Microsoft brokering the peace between the three triumvirate GPU companies. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Friday, March 1st. 2024. Before we jump into the hot news, I just want to say thank you to everybody who ordered the Rare Brew coffee on launch day yesterday. It broke our wildest imaginations. We ordered a certain amount of coffee to ship out, and it turns out you guys ordered way more than that. So everybody who did not pre-order but actually ordered yesterday, there might be a week delay when it comes to getting out your coffee, but simply because you were more aggressive and generous than I guess assumed what's going to happen. And we had healthy margins in trying to calculate inventory. You guys are fantastic. Thank you. But that's the opposite of what people are saying to the HDMI forum when it comes to AMD, because AMD's been trying to make an open source driver for HDMI 2.1 over on Linux, and it turns out that they were told they can't do it. This has been something that's been in progress for a little while, trying to get the HDMI 2.1 plus specs enabled on Linux using open source protocols. AMD submitted it to their legal team, who had to talk to the HDMI forum, and it just came back this past Wednesday that the HDMI forum rejected AMD's proposal. Unfortunately, at this time, an open source HDMI 2.1 implementation is not possible without running afoul of the HDMI forum requirements, which means to get things like 4K 120 or 5K at 240, you're going to have to use DisplayPort, or potentially AMD is going to have to come up with some closed source solution in order to make all of this happen. It's a big bummer for everybody who wants open source drivers. It's a big bummer for AMD, who's been working on this for quite some time, but it is also possible, if there's enough public outcry, that the HDMI forum might change their ways, because really they're just a copyright agency. They're not, they don't do a whole lot. It turns out, like we saw with the Flipper Zero, you can put that port on anything. You just don't have it HDMI certified, because that's just paying to have the rights to the name. And even with having it certified, they made it so confusing where HDMI 2.1 doesn't always have to have the right specs in order to be called that. They made it very weird. But you know what's not weird? Today's video is sponsored, because today's video is brought to you by Silverstone and their Sugo 17 case. And Silverstone's Sugo series is an iconic name in the world of small form factor PCs. For nearly 20 years, Sugo cases have proved that going small can be done without sacrificing performance with their smartly designed layout that maximize space for high-end components. The latest Sugo 17 is no different. At 26 liters, it impressively allows you to fit up to a micro ATX motherboard, an ATX PSU, any giant GPU up to 400 millimeters, and two 360mm radiators all at the same time. And as is the tradition of Silverstone, it's of course engineered and thoroughly thermal tested to handle the heat of anything you can fit inside this bad boy. So if you're looking to downsize your monster rig, the Sugo 17, available in black and white, with its beautifully stylized aluminum bezel, is definitely worth checking out. Big thanks to Silverstone for sponsoring this video. Check out the Silverstone Sugo 17 at the link in the video description. And today's the day. Over on Twitch, we're going to be building the Alta F2, and we're going to be drawing the winner for that PC. It's going to have a 14900K and a 4090, all in Silverstone's massive flagship case, the Alta F2. Silverstone's been great for UFD Tech, and we're giving back to the community with them as well. So check us out over on Twitch today, because that's going to be going down. And what's also going down is that Ford can now actually use Tesla's charging network. The NACS charger adapter that was supposed to be brought out by Ford is now here. If you own an F-150 Lightning or a Mustang Mach-E, you can apply on the Ford website in order to get your free adapter right now, or if you wait until June 30th, then you have to pay $230. But with that, Tesla also opened up their charging network to support NACS charging, and you can see that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of charging stations across the US that are compatible with this. This does only apply to V3 superchargers, not V2 and not all V3. So if you're trying to plan a road trip in a Ford electric vehicle with the Tesla chargers, make sure to check your map first, but it is now available in February because it happened yesterday, as Ford kind of indicated that it would. And while Tesla's opening up, GitHub is locking down because they've been having a whole lot of issues when it comes to malware. Turns out that there's been a nefarious actor who's been automating the cloning of different repositories on GitHub and then implementing malware in in these lookalike repositories so that it's very difficult for people who aren't paying attention to know the difference, and then they're getting infected with malware. GitHub is aware of this issue. They are working on it, but part of the problem is that this was being automatically done and being blasted across a lot of different repositories. So even if there were a few that were overlooked with GitHub trying to reverse all of this, that could still mean that there's thousands of repositories that are potentially impacted on this. So just be wary as you're perusing GitHub for your latest project as you're going about your day. And Meta going about their day with fire and just vigor, because they are coming out with announcement after announcement since the Apple Vision Pro. And this latest one is that they are partnering with LG to expedite their extended reality ventures, which they're not saying what this means, but likely LG will probably provide the displays for the upcoming Quest Pro 2 or the Quest 4. LG saying that the goal is to combine the strengths of both companies across products, content, services, and platforms to drive innovation and customer experiences within the burgeoning virtual space. So a bunch of corporate talk to say not a whole lot. LG obviously makes displays. Meta trying to sell these headsets. Fusion dance, there you go. That happens. And I'm gonna fuse with Reece. Hopefully he does it. He probably won't know, but I hope he does.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. And hey, it's March and it's Friday and there's a lot of cool stuff happening, but also deals. And starting off today, we have the Be Quiet Pure Rock Slim 2 CPU air cooler for only $15.90 with the included promo code, making it $11 off. Then next up, we have the Keychron C3 Pro mechanical gaming keyboard, available with red or brown switches, whichever you prefer, for only $29.91. And then lastly, we have the Asus ROG Ally Rougely, however we like to say it around here, specifically the Z1 processor version, which ordinarily I wouldn't recommend over the Z1 Extreme, but $200 difference is $200 difference. If you just want something to lie in bed and play your video games, then heck yeah. And hey, them's the deals. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below, but until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hard news. Cheers.
All right, guys, I have a deal for you. You can smell your video games now. This product got announced earlier this week, and it's an AI-powered smell-o-vision for your video games known as GameScent. It releases scents such as gunfire, explosions, racing cars, forest storm, clean air, and many more. You would think that this is just a ridiculous gimmick, but it turns out it's kind of like one of those light bars that you put at the back of your TV or your gaming monitor that syncs with your HDMI so that it can reflect what's happening. This works very similarly. You plug in your HDMI and then it releases scents as you're gaming, and it will have upgraded DLC for the future, including blood, napalm, human exertion, ocean, golf course, and many more that are coming out. And we actually bought one of them right here. We actually did a short on it already if you want to check that out. But Kyler, come tell people about GameScent. It's kind of a weird product because it got its major release this week. It's available for $150 at Amazon, Best Buy, and a couple of other stores. I think Walmart's one of them. But like their promo for this started in like October of last year.
Yeah, I think a bunch of people thought it was a joke.
Yeah, it's not. So you just tell the people.
It works as advertised. I mean, I don't know if it's AI actually. I don't have any real way of knowing, but like I played Helldivers with it, and whenever the fog showed up, it shoots out fog smell. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems really fake, but we tried it out and it does something.
Yeah, it's so the thing is, whenever you test it, you can like manually have it shoot out all the scents from its little revolver thing that it has, and that like clouds up the room with a bunch of stank, and then it's really hard to tell when it's actually working if you test it first. So I don't know, just kind of gave me a headache.
Thank you, Kyler, for sacrificing your nose for AI science. And Samsung wants you to sacrifice nothing when it comes to using micro SD cards. They've announced that they're going to be releasing SD Express cards, which are going to be blisteringly fast, up to 800 megabytes per second in these little small form factors. They're launching it at 256 gigabytes. It could potentially go up to a way higher capacity, but at 800 megabytes per second, that is 2.5 times as fast as other micro SD cards that are currently on the market, and 1.5 times roughly as fast as a SATA SSD. And there's also some trickling and rumors out there that this could potentially be one of the things that's implemented in the latest Switch 2 that's supposed to be announced in March. We could also see it make its way to handhelds like the next-gen Steam Deck. Having games load at 800 megabytes per second off of a micro SD card is just totally fine. There are no issues with that as far as right now, and Samsung's enabled a lot of technology for heat management to make sure everything's okay. And they also say that they used AI for it because everything's AI, except for what we're going to talk about now because it's API. There's a P in the middle because Microsoft finally announcing direct super resolution as part of their ongoing efforts to make gaming better on Windows. Microsoft's DirectSR is going to be a DirectX API that can be used by game developers to streamline adding super resolution technologies to their video games. So one of the things Microsoft wants to make sure is that DirectSR is not their own new technology, but rather it's the way that you can get things like Nvidia's DLSS, FSR, and Intel's XeSS enabled in a video game. So it should make it so that it's just more ubiquitous and easily able to be implemented. They're going to be talking more about this over at GDC soon, but this could potentially help to prevent things like the Starfield launch, where they only had FSR at launch and no DLSS or XeSS. Heck, not even working on Intel graphics cards at that point. But this could make it so moving forward, games have fewer and fewer excuses to not have all three companies' super sampling technology or upscaling technology baked into the game at launch. That's what we want to see. Microsoft uniting the triumvirate in a way that nobody else could do, and maybe Nvidia probably a little bit upset with them for it because they don't like to play nicely with other people, even though Nvidia did help Microsoft make all of this happen, but probably begrudgingly so if the reports this week were any indication. Speaking of things that happened this week, your comments. So let's do some comment response. I already mentioned how well the Rare Brew Coffee launch went yesterday. We really thank you for all of your support. It means a lot that this new venture that we're trying to get into for raising money for SYNGAP Research Fund, providing a better future for my family, as well as one of the things that we're trying to make sure that the funds are reserved for is trying to make sure that diagnoses and greater awareness of rare disease advocacy, especially genetic disorders, is happening in South Africa and Africa in general. So that's something we're working with SRF on, and that's what we're also trying to put some of the proceeds of Rare Brew Coffee Co. to, because obviously South Africa is near and dear to our heart. And I don't have the exact figure right now, but we're on track for the first day of launch for us to be able to make a $1,000 donation to SYNGAP Research Fund just based off of all of the profit that we got from the Rare Brew Coffee launch. So we really, really appreciate that. Now, let me respond to your comments, such as Octagonal Square saying, if Yuzu wins this, it will galvanize the validity of emulation. And if they lose, it will undo all of that. It will make things worse. We'll just have to see how it goes. Then we get Stretch Deadass saying, as someone with a different rare disease, Soto syndrome, cerebral gigantism, genetic mutation, that in most cases causes you to never stop growing, that was beautiful and made me wish I could drink coffee. I'll buy a bag just to support you, even though I can't drink it due to a different issue. I genuinely wish you all the best of luck on finding a cure for your son. Hey, if you don't drink coffee, no stress. If you want to support, make a donation to SYNGAP Research Fund, because that's ultimately really where we're trying to drive things here. But we also want to make sure that, people can get really good coffee in exchange for your hard-earned dollars. Then we got Smaruchok saying, short story time. My daughter was born with a heart condition. We got so lucky. It was not common, but not rare either, and she only needed a total of 3 surgeries. One at 6 days, one at 10 months, and one at 15 years to give her a normal life. They've been fixing this problem in kids since the 1950s. I've never, ever forgotten how lucky we are that the research was already done. I don't drink much coffee anymore, but I have friends who do. Being here, supporting the channel, watching the Cannibal, donating on Twitch, buying the coffee are all small ways to try to pay forward what enabled my child to have a normal life. It isn't a ton, I know, but I see Brett trying to help his son and others with the same condition, and I 100% want to support that. Buy some coffee, folks. No, we really appreciate that, and my wife's here now, joining us. That's one of the things we love about SYNGAP Research Fund, is that we're a team of parents and family members who are advocating for our kids, because if we do the work now, then in 10 years, the next kids who are diagnosed with SYNGAP 1 won't have to endure any of the pain and struggle and hardship that we've gone through, because we've enabled that to happen. And every bag that you're buying is honestly changing the future trajectory of other people, including our son, which is one of the big things, but we got to latch on to an organization that was already doing work. There was already trailblazers, and now we're here trying to drive it forward as well.
Yep, I think that the kids who are being diagnosed now, even the adults who are being diagnosed now, are much better off than 5 years ago when our son was diagnosed, and certainly 10 years ago when barely anybody was diagnosed.
Yeah. So we that's why we called it the Advocate Blend, because being an advocate for those who can't advocate for themselves is a necessity in our worldview, and making sure that we are doing that as effectively as possible is the mission behind UFD Tech and Rare Brew.
Yep.
Now I'm going to get back to talking about tech stuff.
All right. You do
Stupid
that.
little video games.
No. Okay.
Oh wait, no, there's more comments on the coffee if you want to sit here for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do that. We got Daniel saying, congratulations on your coffee lunch. I absolutely love that you're supporting rare disease research. More influencers need to have this mindset. I work in youth mental health.
Kyle. Sorry. Oh,
What came over you?
I don't know. Continue.
Tyler, you're infecting my household, buddy. I work in youth mental health and as an advocate for children. I can honestly say more advocates are needed at every front. Great job and good luck.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate
Means
it.
a lot.
And then we got Johnny Lee Rowland saying, today we remember, for the ones we love, for the love of beans.
Very
good.
poetic.
Yeah, and that's the end of the coffee ones for right now.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
right.
you for being here.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Then we got required username saying, remember when the music industry was able to completely ban CD burners and MP3 files? The money Nintendo wastes on silly lawsuits would be better spent on literally anything else. I know open source is a concept they refuse to accept as reality, but imagine thinking you can file lawsuits to put a cat back in the bag. You can't put the cat back in the bag, but you can surely get rid of the cat, which is, I think, what Nintendo's trying to do here, as grim as that metaphor got. Then we got that Trialba saying, 5 years? I thought you were going to say 2 years. No, it's been 5 years of roughly. It's been like 4.25 since we've left South Africa. We're approaching 5 years. We lived there for 5. It's like the intersection of how long we lived there and how long we've been gone is going to come to a head later this year in 2024. And it's just, it hurts, but thankfully, since COVID has died down mostly and travel has opened back up, I've been able to go back to South Africa. My wife's been able to go back twice. Like we're starting to like get back into like at least seeing our friends and loved ones over there who we really appreciate. And then we got Obscene Lobster saying, okay, so I'm not sure if I missed this when it was first announced, or maybe I'm just dumb as bricks, which you're not, saying, but is the logo for your coffee a zebra because of the saying, when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras, since it's for rare diseases, aka the zebras, or am I reading into this too much? No, that's exactly it. Zebras are the like mascot of rare diseases because of that saying in medical literature that if you hear hoofbeats, think horses because it's common. But sometimes it's zebras. With our son, we just thought it was epilepsy, which is unfortunate, but not a super rare disease. It's the 4th most common neurological disease in the world. So that's what we thought it was, but it turns out that the real cause of everything behind that was the SYNGAP1 mutation that he has. And so you can think it's horses and you can try to find the signs of horses, but really you're looking for the wrong thing the entire time because it was a zebra all along. And we really appreciate everybody who's supported us through this entire adventure. It means a lot. We'll be back with more of the hottest tech news on Monday, my friends.